Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Michael Giacon taku ingoa. I'm very happy to welcome you on behalf of Auckland Libraries, Divine Muses, and the Isthmus Poets, honoured guest David Eggleton, the Poet Laureate, to our Phantom National Poetry Day 2021 online event. I'm going to read 4 pieces, all set optimistically outside and accompanied by rain and possibly thunder and lightning, the first of which is Untitled. Open to influence, giddy on my favourite surface, sand. Crossing the bar, da-da-da-da. Raised, toasting tomorrow, at last a new moon waxes, as I do, beautiful and impossible to deny. Stranger zone. A walk in the stranger zone, nay, stand and unfold this bundle of confidence, a balancing act on stage with cues, sitting on a bus that smells of celery, intrigued, locating the source, turning a page. You would think, I'm sure, expecting a state of heart as or art, old hats worn sideways, bonfires set under fire bands. I am of an age again. Out on life. Out for a walk, happy and free, a perfect night of winter in the season's sunset. Slowly comes the crimson glow, yellow goes. I discover black beating birds taking magic shapes across night and the first star. On the stairs to the sea, purple waves. I find myself thinking about you. I found myself touching your hair. You weren't there. Pebbly Bay. Moon surrenders tide. Day, the dusk. The swell, the rocks. Such peace could distance any intrusion. A giddy trio twirl the bluff in retreat with selfies. Feathered fighter jets circle, but beat back to darkening cliff. Last light has the bay, pewter in motion. A northerly breeze comes and goes, sentimental. I'll take its whisper. Surrender. Ngā mihi, vai bene. Thank you.
Kia ora tātou katoa. My name is Maris O'Rourke. And one of the things about reaching your later years, as they say in Ireland, is that you become invisible. I wrote some spells. Spells to restore visibility. It's unexpected. I'm a pane of glass thinned to invisibility. Awaken, ochreous earth, poisonous greens, powders of charcoal, fever root, and burnt bone. People sit on me in Beijing buses, walk through me on the Auckland streets, stack bags around me on Tokyo trains. gather, mugwort, mallow, white snake root, cat's claw, bitterwood, and belladonna. My hair whitens to nothing, transparent as nylon fishing line. No one notices. Invoke licorice root, imago, black cumin, valerian root, oil of newt, and skullcap extract. My skin pales to transience, wrinkles a kink in time to glimpse the ephemeral girl I once was. Conjure, fever, few, hawkweed, primrose oil, star anise, witch hazel, and blue snake's tongue. One day I will walk through the glass, leap onto a beam of light, become the vanishing point. Summon agate, onyx, chalcedony, tiger's eye, carnelian chert, basanite, and bloodstone. My next poem is about kintsugi, which is the Japanese art of making flaws into beauty. Kintsugi. Lay bare my body to the light. Expose my failures. Enhance my flaws of imperfection. Unearth the snake bite at the heart of the whānau. Display the deceptions, poisoning thoughts and dreams I've never had. Reveal my ribs of stone pared to the bone. Stitch the wounds with gold, seal the breaks with black, clothe my cuts in silver. Let me wear my razzle-dazzle scars proudly. Take me to a Romkotsma ruin bar in Budapest for a beer. Enclose me in Macan's bleak landscapes with too few lovers. Walk me backwards into my future. Kamua, Kamuri. Encrust my platinum skull with Damien Hirst's diamond dust. Paint my lips ruby red before you lay me down in the coffin. My last poem I wrote 10 years ago. It was my first poem published. I still like it. I wrote it at one sitting. Tangi time. My sons will scatter my ashes on Ruapehu. Follow my footsteps. Walk up the Whakapapa Glacier from Knoll Ridge. Add ash to ash in the crater lake with a karakia. Drink a Steinlager. Cheers, Mum. Eat a Marmite, bacon and onion sandwich. Maybe climb Tahurangi, Tahuhu or Parete Taitonga, leftovers on the old worn down tooth she has become. Speak of Maori legends I told on chairlifts. Throw more ash to my young self on Taranaki, brooding silently to the west, contemplating the once beautiful young maid who left him. Ski down together, cutting perfect powder eights, mine, in tune, in time. Thank you.
Katoa, welcome. My name is Lincoln Jaques. I'm part of the Isthmus Poets group here in Auckland, and I'm going to read you a few of my poems. The first one is called We Cannot Stop, and it was included in this Twilight Menagerie, a whakanui of 40 years of poetry alive. At first they feared the appearance of white sails over the horizon, coming like flares to light up the land, until empty. Now we fear another enemy brought on by ourselves, like a desert gin we ignored for too long, like a genie we couldn't fit back in the bottle. We ignored again and again, while the white-hot footsteps of grief covered the land. The hovering ghosts cannot find their way out, yet we dismiss them. Until almost extinct, we let the animals go their natural way, the last call from the last burning tree, but there is nothing natural about it. The way of the world has nothing to do with it. We invited it, knowingly or unknowingly. We are out of excuses. And so gradually the earth turns into one long summer. The stars abandon us. We stare blankly into our hands, facing upwards in prayer to an unwanted parent who told us everything too late. The next poem is called Dose, and it was written in the last Auckland lockdown. In the morning, first thing, take 2 tablets to ease the euphoria after surviving another sleepless night. That dream of spoke-shaving clouds to fit them neatly into the blue building block of sky will haunt you later unless 2 more pills can sandpaper out the jagged edges. Your mother's blood that runs in you thins daily from the warfarin her doctor calculates on her abacus. Your neighbour has cancer. Your father died of a burst aorta. Your colleagues sneak arsenic into your kale shakes. The bus is a germ that moves along a clogged vein leading into the city's last heartbeat. 2 more tablets, and 2 more again. Strike a match to hide your own reflection. This life each minute is a pass the parcel where it's never your turn. Stop in the park next to the homeless guy. That's you in 10 years. Give him a coin, give him 2 of your tablets, and he'll give you a swig of poetry for your troubles. The next poem is a new poem, and it was written quite recently after the sudden death of a friend. It's called Facebook Obituary. A friend died last week. I'm not even sure he was a friend, more a close colleague, an ex-colleague at that. And I didn't even know he had died until today, when suddenly I looked out the window and noticed a branch of my lemon tree had drooped, heavy with fruit or weeping. When colleagues or friends die nowadays, you rarely get told in person. It's posted on Facebook, a news feed item that pops up. So sad to inform all our Facebook friends. You stare as the pixels evaporate in a mist. My last SMS to this colleague/friend: no worries, enjoy your day, catch up soon. Thumbs up emoji, lol, 22nd of May. I travel down to the cold sword of the Thames, the hills caving in with the miner's bones, the fog laying in the valley like a tiger's tongue. We hadn't managed to catch up. I was there in his town and it didn't work. I'd missed him again, not the first time. We were so close at that moment, yet again something got in the way. A week later on Facebook, he's pronounced dead. Nothing seems real, no coroner's report, no doctor's certificate, no reasons, only the Facebook fallout. Today I drove through streets of dead mists, through a city shedding its colour. It's June, the sun barely acknowledges us. But this morning, after I read the outpouring of grief online, I noticed a cobweb that captured the early splinters of light, soon to fade, and I kept driving away from the bland grey skies until I reached the city limits. There I glanced in the rear view mirror as a clap of thunder made all the trees shudder. The final poem I'm going to read is a poem for our times, and it's called The Conspiracists. The world will end, apparently, at 1937, according to the conspiracists. It's now just 1930, still time for another sip of the lukewarm flat white. The cafe I'm in sits across from the theatre. We're on the curb. Women in long gowns swap cigarettes, shivering against the chill, and men in dinner jackets pretend nothing is ever going to happen to them. Impossible. I study each face, waiting for the first to fall. A homeless kid rummages for dead cigarettes, discarded in the bin outside. He's safe. He doesn't care if the world will end, just as long as he's dragging on that filter when we explode. The waitress asks me if I'm okay. I'm fine, I say. Another coffee? Anything else? I look at my watch. there's not much time. All the clocks have lost their hands. Already the seconds have vanished into minutes, but I'm happily wasting them. Here with these comrades, this is where it all ends. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's a real honour to be part of the Divine Muses 2021. My first poem is called No, You Can't Have Any, They're for Later. My mother's late summer ritual was to build a culinary bulwark against want, bottling the season, all fruits, gherkins, onions, tomatoes, in proud rows of gleaming aged jars. Self-denial by the case on close February days with no immediate payoff. Peach stones to suck, maybe a pulpy crescent of overripe apricot. As girls, my sisters and I soon lost interest, retreated from the boiling kitchen, a little repelled by her discipline, the muscularity with which she wrestled the produce through each stage into those shining, uniform, sterilised jars. She seemed furthest from us then, filled to overflowing with adult concerns, her usual merriment put up on a high shelf, covered over, screwed down tight. Yet her weary satisfaction stays with me, as do the long light evenings, cicada song, punctuated by the seals taking with a resolute pop. Do as I say, not as I do. Remember the kids perched on the cliff above the swimming hole in the Waiaweka? Clouds reflected in khaki water. Their assessment in dry, swallowed voices. Height, hazards, potential for injury. Your jelly legs as they leap, squealing, emerge ecstatic. It isn't done to be afraid, but you are all the time. Tell them, I can't sew you in my pocket. All I have is the voice in your heads. Your mother's fruit pie was always served with a lesson. Black currants have no thorns, that's gooseberries. No words for the undercurrent. Careful, watch out, don't. You make pie, prize thorns from fingers, stifle your urge to contain or catch, pocket and protect. Gift the children risk, concept and vocabulary. Dread need not be nameless. Fear won't keep you safe. Fear keeps you. People hate you when they tell you too much. That moment in conversation, they're angling scissors around your ear, blood in the offing with a minute's inattention. Or they've failed to mix up enough colour, retreated to the mystery room to make more, but it's obvious they're smoking out there or doing a line, and the apprentice feels sorry for you and offers you the woman's day. The moment opinion lopes on in the door like he's Jeremy Coney, cracking jokes and flirting with the other stylists. But no one knows a thing about cricket. This is a Gen Y salon. The 80s playlist is ironic. Maybe it's the moment after the moment we all feel lighter, released, surveying the pixie cut in the mirror, how it frames the face and highlights the eyes. The moment after that moment, we survey the soft beige snow about our feet, so much and impossible to take back. The moment in conversation, they hold up the mirror to your mirror and you really see how things are looking back there. Or that moment after paying, they have your coat ready, but you don't trust them to line up the holes in the right place for your arms. The object disappeared, Wellington City Gallery 2018. A small girl stumbles her way through Fur Elise on the Big Red Steinway. every era magnified in the large gallery. Those of us who are there to view a critical look at New Zealand identity hover as long as polite. All day I think of her parents' anxious white faces and a culture learning to own its mistakes. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Denise O'Hagan, and today I'll be reading you 4 poems. Spectacle by Night. Ball of silver on black velvet, scattered diamonds flash. Slither of grey fluff encroaches, imperceptible shadow creeps, then defines a crescent. Black licks out over dome. Time turns, an eclipse of waiting, sneaked peek at progress in the cold. Slippers on, rugged up, tea steams, until the allotted hour, 11:13 p.m. Round bright surface floats, red golf ball in space, real elliptical disc. Sore necks crane, eyes feast, crisp nights display the heavens, the show, while we earthlings wonder before floods of light, moon shadows filter down again, mirrored optical overnight. Waimangaroa Point. Shades of green and gold sunshine flow through palm leaves, basked in afternoon rays, soaking up golden goodness. A fairy breeze bequeaths movement, delicate dances, their steps acquainted with nature, with the elements, with each other. A concerto is playing every afternoon, silently in our midst, in our garden bush, luscious evergreen that looks out over the bay. A tune not heard but seen, unruly with the verdure of lush, with the epithet of togetherness, with the symbiosis of harmony, an orchestra of diversity. Cyathea trichomanoides, epiphytes, knee cow palms, flax, leptosporum, cabbage trees, puka and pseudopanax, a symphony of sight with no sound. "17 hands high." Sweet scent of sweat rises off Matucci, that rich raw hide of chestnut stallion, allocated to me as if I could ride. Bold confidence, he leans down, bored, to munch on pampas grass. Pulled forward, I compensate with patience. Iron soles stomp, clomp familiar rocky paths, echoing crystal waves of sound through polylepis dotted foothills. Sneakered feet nudge past cordon cactus as we are lulled in a line of dappled greys, white and brown, pinto and roan, through Argentinian Andes. Amateurs' knuckled hands grip reins, while local horses stumble and trip, souls slip, sighs spill in tune with silence in the valley's afternoon mist. Trepidation hides behind walls of smiles, denim and dust, through an amphitheatre of pink sunsets and shadowy hinterland. Sweat-soaked hides carry intrepid travellers back to smoke-infused beef and red Malbec, Mendoza's soul, salty decadence in the dark amidst mountains of lust. The night we played pool with the Pogues in Pamplona. A 2-story farmhouse of wood and 2-foot stone, our home in the Baztan Valley, Basque Country, Spain. We're working on kiwi fruit orchards, enjoying fiestas del pueblo. The running of the bulls and Basque cuisine was our scene. A rumour sifted down, the Pogues were coming to Pamplona, so we drove the old Renault through the mountain pass to town. Stood on the balcony near the ceiling, saturated by grungy sounds, pounded by dirty old town. The lilt of Liam's drunken slur cascaded streams of whiskey. We gyrated and grooved to London, You're a Lady, lit up by glowworms under a rainy night in Soho, then washed it down with a bottle of smoke. Concert over, our condensed night continued, for our Irish friend got friendly with the band and asked them back for a dram, a wee trago, or una cerveza down the Irish tavern. And when did Liam say no to a drink or 20? So we sauntered on back to our favourite watering hole, the Irish bog for the crack. Stood next to Liam, leaning on the bar like any old day. My husband Pete's fingers fiddled with his Kilkenny ale. He turned and coolly asked for a game of pool, and before anyone could sneak another snifter, we were all playing pool with our favourite band of Irish rogues, the Pogues, in Pamplona.
Hello everyone, I'm Alexandra Fraser. I'm very happy to be taking part with the other Isthmus Poets in this recording for the Divine Muses for National Poetry Day. My first poem is an imaginary travel poem because currently we can only imagine travel. It's called False Memory Syndrome in Cuba. I have not been to Cuba, so I follow someone with eyes like mine, a little bit Marxist, a little bit beauty decayed. She takes the photos I would have taken had I been there. I see the geometrics, the crumbling, the blue paint peeling, lifting, curling. Decay is always so photogenic. There is a smell of dust and hot oil and an elusive bass note coming and going of overripe banana. There are crowds and emptiness and the solitary man smiling, carrying a load up the long, hot steps. And I study the images on my screen to hold in my mind, and these memory images seem no way neurologically distinct from those images I would have formed if I had actually been to Cuba. And I can say, remember that time in Havana? Remember the jazz bar and the man playing? He said he was from Buena Vista Social Club, but he wasn't, and it didn't matter. We could see the crazy man dancing outside. Remember that? I see it so clearly. The next one's my COVID poem. It's called The Privilege of a Wardian Case. And a Wardian case was a 19th century thing, a glass-sided airtight case which formed a protective enclosure for keeping living things under semi-natural conditions. So, the privilege of a Wardian case. Glass can distort. I see shadows. Is that your silhouette, that brief, untouched passing? Our Wardian case balances on the ocean's edge. We are exquisite apart, warding the world, scanner codes, hexes, etched on doorways, magic symbols that fade with time. A world beyond, half hidden, half too clearly seen, ricochets around us. We chart trajectories of flying shrapnel, test toughened glass, predict fractures. A domed city on a hostile planet, last, loneliest. The daily wait for the breached seal, the drifting in of noxious gas. I look out through cloudy glass at passing brights and darks, our second-hand lives mediated through glass, flickering pixels of the real, staying alive, not dancing while the world burns. Risk mask, thunder threat, tree flame, house trap, air fear, love shadow, heart loss. This poem's called In the Company of Birds. It's a Port Waikato poem. We walk the other side of moonlight, past the place where the river ends and the islands embed in flax and willow. Somewhere between passion and loss, there is a small island where you are solitary, surrounded by reeds, pukeko stalking, a momentary flash of swallows. Reflections shimmer, a sinusoidal skipping across wind-touched waves as the light falls and lies broken. In that unguarded moment, something of a hope is shared, and ever after, a long silence. And my last poem that I'm going to read today is from my collection Star Trails. It's called Forecast. Poisoned by violets I lie under the almond tree, solitary, aconites crushed beneath, bluebells. Equinoctial turn rings out its favours, bee flight and pollen drift. And I am now more dead than alive, speaking actuarially, or as a biochemical algorithm, heading away from spring. Thank you.
My name is David Eggleton. I've got 3 poems. This first poem is called Tamaki Drive. Rap thumps like a canoe hauling chant from inside a 4-wheel drive with tinted windows, whose engine's reverberant whine sings the names of Tāmaki's 1,000 lovers. The stars are unseen as wet dawn lights up each type of sea wave and kind of rain, splashing the runnels of each waka voyaging on. The land itself is choppy today, rain smacking the sides of cars, trucks, vans, utes, metal cataract pouring through and away. The compass of the city lurches and corrects to the equator as warm rain breaks like bow spray along roads flung like a net around bumps of an ocean-dwelling taniwha with a slick green shine. The next poem is called Trees, and I wrote this poem after visiting the west coast of the South Island and discovering that the town of Reefton was the first place in New Zealand to have electricity in the 1890s. So this poem is called Trees. Place is bottled lightning in a shop, or in a chandelier's glass teardrop, or in a glowworm's low-watt grot, or in street neon's glottal stop. Wow, eh? Wow, eh? Wow, eh? Place is the moulded face of a hill, or lichen-like beard on a windowsill, or the bare spaces that shadows fill, or ancestors growing old and ill, or descendants at the reading of a will, who frown and examine their fingernails before plunging off down the paper trails of diary and letter and overdue bill. Place is the home of family trees to wrap round plots of soil, tree roots to shrivel into umbilical cords, tree branches to spill bones and skulls, but even trees are just a spidery scrawl against the shelf life of a mountain wall. Place is a brood perched on power poles, bellbirds with the shadows of gargoyles, korimako who clutch the power of one, like an egg to trill their familiar song. Place as grandsons who sprawl in the family tree with laughter. Place as a tree windfall gathered up in the lap of a daughter. My final poem is called Freedom Songs of the Viet Cong, and it's some memories of growing up in Auckland City. Freedom Songs of the Viet Cong. John Doe spoke from our back porch in '66 in bad tones to channel Victor Hugo at fever pitch. I may not make old bones, said he, as 8 immortals were crossing the sea, but I know that wherever I may roam, and he cupped his hands like a megaphone, his face desolate, his tears sprang on cue, I'll seek the gate of luminous virtue. A Shankar Raga played on the stereo. I see him there still, though it was years ago, picked out in darkness by the fluoro glare, a wide-eyed Polaroid with shaggy hair, teeth tubes humming like a tuning fork, tripping on a tab of window panes talk. Over Mekong's delta droned bomber planes, black smoke from rice paddies, reflected flames, dust devils gathered in those golden summers, to clangs of the 13th floor elevators, Moby Grape rock, strawberry alarm clock, groovy vinyl go-go boots on the hop. Ho Chi Minh's trail of gardens lay concealed, filaments from silkworm cocoons unreeled. Dragon clouds grew from a napalmed Bodhi tree. Newsreels showed monks burning for liberty as John Doe undid his name tag from his big toe and danced to Barbara Ann in our family bungalow. Thank you.